Howdy folks, I'm going to be doing a little comparison video with weighing out black powder and black powder substitute. So this is 3F American Pioneer powder, it's a substitute. You got 3F Graf & Sons, this is real black powder. 2F 777, 2F Pyredex. This is all stuff I've used. And I also have, this is homemade black powder that I use box elder for the charcoal. When I do the shooting portion of this video, I'm also going to be shooting some 777 pellets. That's what they look like. And 777 white hots. These are supposed to be 50 grains equivalent. Now, we start out with the black powder, since it has a small opening. I'm using this other container. According to Lee's Dipper chart, this should weigh out with 3F black powder to about 30.3 grains. That's picking it up. We're at exactly 30 grains, so pretty darn close. Now, you'll see on some of these things, it'll say, this one just says muzzle loading propellant on the Pyredex. 777, at one point this said that it was, I read somewhere, it says black powder equivalent. Well, what that means is you measure it the same. Does not mean it'll weigh the same, or that it has the same velocities and stuff. Take the same 1.9 cc dipper, flatten off the top. 777 weighs 23.4 grains. Same volume, different weight. Let's see what the Pyredex weighs out at. And that weighs out at 23.9. Again, volume versus weight. When we say grains, that's a weight measurement. But it's a lot easier in the field to go by volume. So if somebody went to all the trouble to make those measures where they weighed out everything and then put it to volume. This is 3F American Pioneer powder. I used it all up, but I did have a can of 2F of this that somebody gave me. Now, this stuff only weighs 22.9 grains. But again, as far as black powder standards, that was a 30 grain equivalent. Now, if we do 30 grains by volume with my homemade stuff, that was not compressed and glazed the way commercial stuff would be. We are at 20 grains. Lightest of them all is my homemade stuff. Now, this volume of my homemade stuff is going to be substantially weaker than this. It's going to be 20% weaker is kind of the standard with the loose grain. This is the way it would have originally been made for firearms. Around the War of 1812 when they started making it a little more the way we make it today. So anyway, that's just kind of a quick comparison of how it all works. But when you're loading your gun, you're using a volume measurement, not by weight. If you're a reloader and you're thinking you want to reload with black powder or a black powder substitute like 777, you're going to want to back that down. Like say your max charge is, well, not necessarily in a cartridge, but in a muzzle loader, you want to back this down by 15%. If your max load in a given muzzle loader is 100 grains, 85 grains of 777 is going to be about the same power. It's going, this is volume again, not weight. if you go by weight, you're going to way overcharge that thing. So that's where if you get into reloading, I haven't reloaded cartridges in most of these. I've done some shotgun with Pyrodex and with real black powder. That's it. I'm not an expert in that. I'm not going to try to act like I am. Just some things that I wish I had known about black powder and substitutes when I first started, so I thought I'd make the video. But just some things to be aware of, that we're talking, when we say grains, it's technically the wrong term. It's volume, but we say grains because that's what the volume is equal to by black powder. Now the substitutes are made to the point where you can use those same measures and it'll get a similar power or whatever. But Pyrodex and 777 for sure are more powerful. I think American Pioneer powder is probably a little more powerful too. If you can get your hands on some of this stuff, I highly recommend it. It is the cleanest burning powder I've ever used. Still gets dirty, but cleaning a firearm after using that is a breeze. Now as far as like what I do know that I own 2 cap and ball revolvers, a Traditions Kentucky pistol, a Markwell Sidelock 45 caliber rifle, System 1 Thompson Center with a 12 gauge and a 50 caliber barrel, and a CVA Wolf. So I've got every common source of ignition covered except for flintlock. I've never shot a flintlock, but I got cap lock with number 10s and 11s. I've got musket caps on the System 1 and 209s on the CVA Wolf. 209, that's where you can use the white hots or the pellets. I have used them in the System 1 with the percussion, but it's not really recommended. It's better to use only with 209 primers. But I've kind of gotten away from these. This is when I first started hunting with a muzzleloader. I have yet to kill a deer with a muzzleloader. Haven't gotten lucky, but kind of gone back to using just 777 for my hunt loads, 85 grains, along with my Sabaton bullets. But anyway, we'll load up all the loose powders in my 1860 Army, and then we'll load up these probably in my CVA Wolf, and we'll do at least one shot with each kind. You can kind of see a lot of them when you're shooting them, can't really tell the difference. Some of them you can. So anyway, that's what we're going to be doing whenever I get out to the range again. Okay, so we're going to do the comparison of 777 pellets, white hot pellets, 777 2F, Pyrodex 2F, American Pioneer powder 3F, 3F Graf & Sons black powder, and my homemade 3F black powder with box elder charcoal. So to start with, I'm going to use my CVA Wolf. I got this loaded up with 2 of the white hot pellets, and then we're going to go with 2 of the 777. We're just looking at ignition and power here. Like, I'm not going to do velocities, accuracy, any of that stuff. It's just like how the powder ignites, what kind of bang we have, that sort of thing. So it's not real scientific, just kind of like a general knowledge of what you can expect. And then after we're done shooting, I'll tell you like my experience on how dirty they are, each one, and like which one I prefer better, which one works better, and what kind of gun. So let's get to shooting. Well, as you can see, those white hots have plenty of power. There's nothing wrong with them. They work pretty good. Only time I ever had a misfire, I was using a different gun, and it is possible that I shouldn't have been using white hots because it's percussion ignition, but they are a pretty nice choice. The barrel is pretty clean after you get done shooting those. Okay, this is with the 777 pellets. It dusts a little baby orange at 10 yards real good. So anyway, that's the 777 and the White Hots. The 209 ignition, they both work really good. They're quick for reloading, so if you're just thinking about going hunting, there's nothing wrong with them. I kind of prefer to use loose powder. I've had a little better luck with a percussion gun. Even though it's an inline, I have better luck with the loose powder, but with this gun, those work just fine. Next up, I got my Pietta 1860 Army. First shot here is going to be 777. These are all capped with CCI number 11 Magnum caps. And I just got 30 grains. I've made paper cartridges, so I got 30 grains each one. So we'll just shoot them and see if you can tell any difference when I fire. Cap didn't go off, or cap fell off. Well, I have to cut the camera off and recap that. Alright, this is the first time I've ever used caps on this that weren't homemade, and apparently my homemade ones actually fit better than the commercial, but I thought this would give us a more consistent ignition. See if I can get it to stay on long enough to shoot it. That 777 has a lot more kick than some things. Usually I'm shooting 25 grains, not 30. That was Pyrodex. They both had good ignition. And that one was American Pioneer powder. So far, I wouldn't be able to tell you the difference as far as ignition and sound goes. That was the Graf & Sons. A lot more spark on that one. This here is the homemade Box Elder. This should be fairly weaker than the others, but let's see what happens. Just barely nicked the target on that one, but as you can see, they all work. They all work pretty good in an inline style gun. You may not think of it as inline, but this one's inline. And my side locks, black powder, straight black powder all the way works the best. But if you're shooting cap and ball revolvers or an inline modern 209 primer and muzzleloader, really doesn't matter whatever as far as ignition goes. If you want easy cleanup, American Pioneer powder all day long. Don't even look at the rest. If you are looking for historical accuracy, obviously real black powder. Pyrodex is the only one that I don't think I'll ever buy again. It's really dirty, and I'm just not all that impressed with anything in a side lock. It just doesn't work good. But like I said, if you got an inline, pretty much any of these will work. Yeah, I don't know what I was really trying to say here other than just general information. If you are thinking about getting into black powder and you're like, well, I can't find real black powder. Well, if you're using something like this, you don't need real black powder. If you're using something like this, you don't need real black powder. But flint locks and cap locks, I would recommend trying to find the real stuff or making it yourself. So anyway, that's it for the video, and thanks for watching. So with the comparing all the different black powder and black powder substitutes, one thing I forgot to mention is cost. Now all of these are going to run you between 25 and 30 bucks for a pound. But like we stated earlier, this, this, and this all weigh less by volume than this. So even if 777 might be a little more than a pound of black powder, it's probably still cheaper because you're going to back down your load just a little bit because it's more powerful, and it also weighs less. So your volume measurement's going to weigh less. So that means you're going to get more shots per pound than you will with black powder. Same with Pirate X, same with the American Pioneer powder. You're going to get more shots per pound. Cheapest overall, once you buy your ball mill and everything else you need to make it, is the homemade black powder. I can make this for about $6 a pound, as opposed to $25 to $30 a pound for everything else. I don't remember how much I paid for those pellets. I bought those so many years ago. I'm sure the price has gone up, and I didn't check price. But if you decide to use those, it is what it is. I mean, you're not gonna. If you want to use pellets, you're just gonna be paying whatever they are anyway. You just decide what kind of pellet you want. But like I said, I don't think I'll ever buy another pound of Pirate X. Don't care for it. I'll be, as I run out of what I've already got here, be mostly using my homemade stuff anyway. But as you can see, I got quite a bit of black powder and black powder substitutes to burn through before I get to the point where I don't have any commercial stuff left. But for general purposes, I like this in my inlines for hunting. I like this pretty much in anything. This, my cap and ball revolvers, this is what I shoot the most. Pirate X, I'm just trying to use up in shotgun shells or whatever. And in my side locks, I like the homemade stuff. So there's my general overview. You saw how they shoot. So that's pretty much it. I just wanted to throw in how much they cost. So anyway, thanks for watching.